Let's make the flight even faster, just to see how it looks. I don't want it to be Superman speed, but it should look like a heavy alien robot flying and landing. Alright, playing it back here. See, now the hang pose needs a bit of timing change here. Actually, let me go ahead and create a key here for the actual slow pose, and move the key and move the fall key even closer. The falling down key, yeah. And let's go ahead and play it back. We need to smooth out these curves in the graph editor here, selecting everything and auto tangent. Cool. The speed needs a lot of work, but we'll come to that in a moment. Right now, remember I told you earlier the animation data saved in the proxy will also be saved in the real model. So let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, very cool. Okay, but impossible to scrub in my laptop here. Okay, maybe we should take a play blast to see if it works. I mean, it'll be the same as in the proxy, but you know, let's go ahead and check it anyways. While the play blast is rendering, I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. Oh, there you go. We're on the right track, people. Needs a lot of work, but on the right track. On playing the back, we can see that it requires a lot of timing finessing and some of the pose modifications as well. Playing it a couple of times will put the motion in your head so you can remember and visualize what needs to be changed and what kind of speed are we talking here. Let's take out the proxy model since it's practically impossible for me to move the mesh here. Okay, now I'm going to add some more poses before we start with the second part of the shot, which is the action part. I'll go ahead and add some nice overshoots. Since the character came down with so much force and weight, it obviously will have some kind of counter reaction to its movement. So let's add that. Let's move the hand up and rotate the palms. As you can see, we are having quite a trouble here fixing the FK arm to the ground. Well, we always have to counter animate FK arms when it comes to contacting something, but we're not going to worry about that. We'll change it to IK whenever we get a chance. But right now, let's go ahead and select the curves and change it to step mode so that we can continue on with our keys. Let's go ahead and create a camera, you know, like a director's point of view. Name it main cam, and try to position the camera right in front of him where we will use the resolution gate. Alright, he's in the corner. Let's on the resolution gate here, and let's move the camera just a bit just to put him inside. Move it back a little bit, a little more back. We want the whole action to be captured in the camera. Maybe later on the camera animation will also change, but right now I'm just going to keep a fixed camera here, and I'm going to change the resolution from 640 to 720p. Alright, let's play it back. As you can see, the camera kind of gives us some of the nice pose arcs right about here. This is the curve that we're talking about. You see that? Alright. Okay, let's go ahead and lock the camera here since we're not going to move this. Alright, that looks cool. Now I'll have these three views here. One will be the perspective where I can move around, one will be the graph editor, and one will be the camera view where I can play it back and see if everything is looking good. Now that we have our initial stuff figured out, we need to move on to our second part of the shot, which is the run and the hack and slash, basically the action part, which will be a little bit complex compared to the ones we did. So we're going to take help of the internet. Well, you can pose and record yourself and try to extract a thumbnail from the poses you want, but I'm going to use the internet as I might get some better poses or might get some something more useful. So all right, let's try something, running pose, and go to images. Let's find something more relevant like running anticipation pose. Alright, here we are. Most of the drawings here are of legendary cartoons and their amazing character posing. This would definitely help us understand the type of pose we want, realistic or not. Poses always remain the same. It's just the level of exaggeration that differs. But there's always exceptions to the rule when characters are deformed completely to bring the comet effect here. But that's not, restricted to 2D itself. 3D also does that. But we're not going to go into that realm. It's completely different. Let's scroll up here and check out some of the poses here. Right now I kind of need this one here. This one looks like the one we need after he, tries to run, kind of like the anticipation pose for the run. And this is the starting of the run pose here. Something that we want, and this is the start of the run pose. So these are some of the good drawings that we can use to help make our shot better. That's why I like the internet. So much stuff and resources available out there. So let's go ahead and try to get one of those poses, the anticipation pose before the run cycle. It's basically the down pose where he kind of pushes himself to get up. Like from the sitting pose to the run pose, the arc will be like a U. U as in the alphabet U, kind of like a nice curve. You'll see that in a moment. Okay, let's move the hand a little bit. As you can see, we're getting real close to getting one of those run pose. And let's put the left hand here down a bit so that we can see that he's trying to leave the ground. The left hand will be contacting the ground, so he needs to kind of have a contact after the pose. Alright. This is going to be the pose that we have here. And this pose is basically the one that we have like this. This is the curve here. And the one that we need for the center here, the breakdown pose, is going to be like a opposite curve U, something like this. Which means he's forcing himself to get up from the ground. When we see people starting to run from a ground pose, you actually see them pushing forward, giving a thrust in the ground to get up. So that's the pose we want here. Let's fix the pose here a little bit. Alright, that looks cool. Okay, time to create the next pose now. This will basically be the run start pose. I know you must be thinking, why not the earlier pose? well, that pose is going to change a lot later. I need to start pose to determine how much of a change we need for the earlier one, because that pose will change. That pose will probably, have its COG control way down on the y-axis.